I know what most of you are thinking. What does this kid know about feminism? But I know more than you may think. First of all, I know for a fact that feminism isn't all about hating men. To me, being a feminist is believing in the power of all womankind, believing that women deserve the right to do as they please without having to wear the labels that society continuously tries to force on them, so that I can bake cupcakes without being called a homemaker and wear makeup without being called shallow. Being a feminist really is the hardest part of being me. I'm constantly bombarded with questions like, you don't hate men, how are you a feminist? And is it okay to call you a feminist in public? Even ignorant comments like, you're a woman, you should know your place. You'll be more shocked to find, though, that these comments come not from men, but from my fellow women, my friends, my teachers, and even my mom, who tries her utmost best to ignore that aspect of my personality. She's always asking me, why would you want to be a feminist? In the same way you'd ask, why would you want to be a clown? Now, I never get too offended when I'm criticized for being a feminist because I know why they say what they say. You see, these people have only ever been introduced to the wrong feminist. The wrong feminist hates men, patronizes women who aren't feminist, tries to impose their views on others, and lastly, the wrong feminist is hypocritical. She judges women for being a nun, a businesswoman, a housewife, or a virgin. So today I'm going to talk about something I feel that everybody should know about, every woman should know about. And that's the empowerment of women through being a feminist the right way. Today, in the media, women are sexualized excessively. In advertising, women are reduced to sexual objects, to advertise things that have little or nothing to do with them. What's alarming is that young women today are conditioned to think that it's okay to be a sexual object. In fact, such a perception is held in higher regard than, say, receiving a compliment like, you have a beautiful mind. I mean, which really should be the highest compliment that anybody, not just women, can be paid. Nowadays, women are focusing on what's outside rather than what's inside their minds. I no longer want to see this. I no longer want to see women posting Instagram photos of themselves, hoping to get recognition from the opposite sex. Now, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking selfies on an hourly basis or twerking, as long as it's on your terms. But never ever do it because you think it's going to get you recognition from the opposite sex. You see, being a feminist is realizing that sexiness is the comfort you have within yourself, so that this generation and the generation after us can say, I'm sexy, without needing anybody else's gratification. Now, initially I thought that being a feminist was something I could do as a part-time hobby, or something that I only really thought about when I heard a sexist comment. But then I realized, if I wanted to be an effective feminist, then I needed to let it seep into all aspects of my life. And when I did this, I stopped seeing the two I's in feminism, and I began to see the three I's in feminism: independence, inner strength, and individuality. Now, you really cannot be a feminist if you're not independent. Independent enough to have your own thoughts, and independent enough to set out what you aim to do, even when you know nobody else will really understand it. And me standing here today is a perfect example of this. I was terrified of coming up here and sharing with you my beliefs that I hold so dearly, because I knew that not all of you would agree with what I had to say. But as a feminist, I'm not afraid to stand alone, especially when what I have to say can impact so many other women so greatly. Now, you have to realize that you can't be independent without having inner strength. Inner strength is the roar that we all have deep inside of us. Most of the time, we ignore it. But being a feminist, that's not really an option, you see. Because of all the prejudice and the criticism, you have to listen to this inner roar. You have to let it grow louder to be a feminist effectively. Lastly, individuality is knowing that everybody dances to their own drumbeat. But being a feminist means that sometimes you have to dance to a beat that not everybody can hear. It's essential to feminism Because every single woman is different. Every single woman is individual. And by choosing to be yourself comfortably, you influence other women and people in general to be who they are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is empowerment. Now, how many of you here today feel that you're perfect for a magazine cover just as you are? What if I told you that you're beautiful? What if I told you that you're the most attractive crowd I've ever laid my eyes on? Why is that so hard to believe? You see, society puts too much pressure on women to walk a certain way, to look a certain way, to talk a certain way, usually with a lower volume as possible. And if you knew me, you'd know how much of a problem that is for me. So after a couple of years of trying to fit into this societal idea of beauty, I gave up. And my hair is a perfect example of this. See, growing up, I always had this idea of what good hair was. Good hair was long and straight and thick and silky and definitely not African. So I spent many of my early adolescent years trying to relax my hair and straighten it and run away from my natural texture. And then one day, sitting in my room, I decided to do something that scared me. Something that really, really terrified me. And the scariest thing I could imagine was cutting off my hair. Which is really crazy, right? I mean, it's just hair. And anyway, so I took a leap of faith and I cut my hair. And in breaking free of these shackles of societal beauty, I realized that my hair is beautiful just as it is. And today, I'm proud of my hair the way it is. Lastly, I'd like to share with you a sort of manifesto that I plan on introducing to my daughter if I'm ever lucky to have one, or any woman that I think really needs to hear it. First of all, start empowering women today. Remember that as long as you're breathing, it's never too late to start something new. Secondly, you're beautiful just the way that you are. Not if you lose a pound or change your dress. You're beautiful just as you are. And lastly, and most importantly, unlike the wrong feminist, the right feminist fights disempowerment mentally. So educate yourselves. Take pride in being strong and independent and individual. And please, encourage other women to do the same. Thank you.